Well, good evening. Hello, everyone. From a lovely evening here in Northern Ireland. Pleasure and honor to join you all again. Today is Tuesday, the 20th of August, 2019. Yeah, very interesting day today. I don't know, has anyone else actually been feeling a bit off today? Especially from around about 2 o'clock. Incredible wave of energy just took me off my feet today. So this recording is going to be fun. So if my words come up inside out and upside down, I hope you understand. So yeah, real symptoms today: foggy head, fuzzy head. I call them iffy guts. That's another word for stomach cramps. So yeah, really, really intense. So I'm asking my inner self and source, the I am that is, and the I am that is within, to assist, and if the words come out upside down, to turn them the right way up. So thank you in anticipation for your cooperation and your patience. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. So this evening, of course, is, as per usual, the ongoing dialogue about relationships. Lots of questions today. Lots of questions have come up, even since Sunday. Some questions have come up pertaining to relationships, but almost kind of between beliefs stroke spirituality stroke relationships. So we'll do whatever we can to touch on those or clarify those. Yeah. Anyone feeling that the relationships that they're in, or indeed not in, coming out of, are under increased challenges? We are in incredibly interesting times and getting interesting, more interesting. In fact, the word interesting for certain people is another word for challenging. And indeed another word for dramatic, traumatic. So look, whatever it is, but please understand that this is a process that is going on, and relationships in general are going through testing times. And there's a very, very good reason for that, is because individuals are going through testing times. So understand that the word relationships is an interaction between a minimum of two people, and it can be, of course, an interaction between family and families, which is a number of people. It could be professional relationship, interaction between a number of people. And quite frankly, they're all going through unprecedented challenges. They could be between work colleagues, and in actual fact, it could be between you and your place of work, or an individual in the place of work, where that which used to feel okay or feel right-ish no longer feels right-ish or okay. So what's going on? What's happening? What's going on? What's going down? Well, that's exactly what's happening. It's going down. Now, on Sunday, I touched on it a little bit last Sunday. Excuse me, get this frog up. Last Sunday, I touched a little bit on it. What is happening and why? Well, this Sunday coming, I'm giving you a heads up, which, whatever date that is. So what date is that? 25th. Yeah, the 25th, I am going to be sharing a lot more information as to what is happening, what's going down. In other words, the term is known as the end of the world as we know it. Now, please don't panic. The end of something is the beginning of something new, or the end of something, the end of the old, the beginning of something new and better. Now, that's what we're going to be talking about on Sunday. Now, there's a heads up. So if you wish, make yourself available. It'll be an honor and a privilege to have your presence. Sunday, 11 a.m. BST. All right, today, let's move forward here with today. Announcements. One-to-one consultations. I am honored and privileged to help those who are ready to look in the mirror and say, I want help. Could somebody please take me by the hand? And that's my privilege and honor as a way sure to do so. So if you feel, and look, it requires bravery to do that. In other words, it requires a person to be open and honest with themselves and say, I'm done. I really need help here. So that's what a mentor is, excuse me, or a way shower is someone who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and is in a position to take people by the hand where they themselves want to go. That's it. You are the director of your life or not. Whoever is running your life is either of two things: the inner self or the false ID entity. Okay, and that's every aspect of our lives. So if an individual feels ready to take personal responsibility, and I say responsibility, to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I need help. Privilege and honor to help you. Absolutely. We will work out a mutually convenient time to make that happen. Either if you're from a distance by Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, Messenger, or indeed if you're local, we do it at a mutually convenient place where you especially feel safe. All right, I also want to say that I am open to facilitating or co-facilitating workshops wherever. In Ireland and the UK, it is an honor and a privilege. And I am also very, very aware, had an inquiry today from outside Ireland, possibility in the UK of doing so. More on that in due course. The next emotional and mental well-being support group workshop is on the 29th of September in Lamon House Hotel in the Greater Belfast area. So there's a clarion call for all of you from the Greater Belfast area, in fact, anywhere in Northern Ireland, or indeed anywhere in Ireland and the UK. Someone actually on to me today from Wales wishing to be there. And please feel free. You know, that's the great thing about having one in the Greater Belfast area. You can fly into the George Best Airport and the venue is only 10 minutes away. And I'm actually negotiating terms with Lamon House for preferential rates for those who wish to stay over. So there you go. More on that in the very near future. All right. Also, you may have realized that I'm uploading my videos to YouTube. Please, 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 please go along to my YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that red button, press the like if you do, and of course, please feel free to share. All right, enough of that. Let's move forward with today. But before we do, let's do our usual relax, I am within mantra. Now, I'm sure you've had a busy day, and please give yourself the privilege and honor of coming out of here, coming down into here, coming out of the activities of today and being still and being present for the next, whatever it is, 45, 50 minutes, maybe more, maybe less. We'll go with the flow. So the mantra involves breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth and repeating the following words, which are relax, I am within. Now, for those of you who are not aware of this, the reason we do this is to balance the head with the heart, the ego with the soul, the false identity with the inner identity, the I am that is within. Because all the answers are in here, all the solutions are in here, all the problems and all the questions are up here. So it balances the left and the right brain as well. And this is particularly pertinent to relationships. The left brain being male, the right brain being female. In other words, we create a relationship between our male and female selves. And the inner self and the outer self, or the external and the internal, and the two become one. So instead of an external self and an internal self, one self. And the objective actually is to live here at all times, at internal and external being one self. That's the objective of this Relax I Am Within. And of course, I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it until people get it. Please, please, please write it on, stick it, post-it notes, and all over your house as a reminder too. And repeat the words, relax, I am within. Okay, let's do it. Relax, 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 relax. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. Within, 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 within. Okay, very good, thank you. Please, for yourself, do that as often as you possibly can throughout the day, and use the post-it notes as a triggering mechanism to remind yourself. Those of you who drive a lot, please put it in the center of your steering wheel. All right. Little quote from Oscar Wilde to make a start. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. I'll repeat that again. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. And that's another way of saying Whitney Houston's song. Mariah Carey, George Benson, they all recorded it, which was the greatest love of all, is learning to love who? Oneself. All right. Earlier on today, as a reminder, I posted about this evening, and I posted that. If you're searching for that one person that will change your life, take a look in the mirror. Now, that's a very hard-hitting truth. If you're searching for that one person to change your life, take a look in the mirror. In other words, the person that's going to change your life is not anybody else. Please, let's stop passing the buck. Let's get real. Let's become authentic and look in the mirror and look into the eyes of our own being, which is the eyes of our own soul, and fall out of here into love within ourselves and get to know that person within you, which has been covered up with all the programming and all the stuff. Detox the layers, take away the layers that are covering up the I am within, the soul and the heart, and fall in love again. Because the I am within you is love. Anything and everything that we're looking for, all the answers are not out there. All the answers are not here. All the answers that we're looking for are not in somebody else. Now, I'm being real straight here tonight. I'm being real straight for a reason. Because you know something? I had to learn the hard way too. And there's no need for it. Well, you know, if you really want to, you can stop listening. Because the inner self, the I am that is within us all, from it was covered up, has been trying to get through to the busy mind. And what do I mean by that? Well, the busy mind is busy doing. It's busy thinking about the past. It's busy thinking about the future. It's busy planning. It's busy looking outside for answers. It's busy actually looking to somebody else for the answers. They're not there, folks. They're not there. The answers are within us all. So please do yourself a big favor. Stop the chasing. Stop chasing and come home to the truth and the love that is within ourselves. Now, if you want, you can carry on. But please take my word for it. I searched and searched and searched in relationships and in Christian beliefs. I searched anywhere and everywhere outside myself for love, outside myself for meaning, outside myself for fulfillment, in the perfect body. You know, excuse me for saying it, you know, bodybuilding and personal growth and development. That's personality growth and development. to such an extent that I was a driven individual. Who was driving me? I was self-employed from I was 21. So who was driving me? My own ego. My own altered ego was driving me to distraction, literally. And it did. It drove me to ME, chronic fatigue, acute nervous exhaustion, whatever you want to call it. Back then it was known as the yuppie flu. So for 8 years between 1990 and 1998, I was in a place called hell. Manic depression. I'm at suicidal thoughts, hoping that someone was going to save me, hoping that someone was going to rescue me. And did I look for the answers in relationships? All the more so then. Until I got run out of emotional, mental, and physical energy in 1990, and I still carried it on to the best of my. I mean, those of you who don't know, instead of working 15, 18 hours a day, which I had been to 1990. Now you can look at yourself in the mirror or look around. How many people do you know who are doing that? If it's not one job, it's two jobs. Or they're so caught up in the busyness of their business, they're working 12, 14, 15, maybe more hours a day. Not spending time with each other, not spending time with, never mind themselves, not spending time with each other, not spending time with their kids. For what? The search, that's why. The search for fulfillment outside. It's not there. So for 8 years, I was in hell. Suicidal thoughts and all of that. I mean, absolute hell. Dark, dark cloud, black, 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 black depression. So you can, that's the great thing about a mentor. A mentor will actually tell you the truth. And, a friend in need is a friend indeed. But you don't want to listen, that's okay. So quite frankly, I'm being blatantly open, blatantly honest, and telling people the truth like it is. And some people don't want to hear it because they're living in a thing called a comfort zone. And you know what that is? It's a pain and pleasure principle where there's a pile of pain, but there's comfort. And there's another thing about the comfort zone. It's a thing called an identity. People have an identity. Victim, poor me. So if you actually face the facts and face the poor me, which is the altered ego, the false ID entity, that's what it is. It's an entity. It's not who we are at all. It's false. But it's an identity. And if people actually leave that identity, what that actually means is that the ego gets put in the bin. The ego gets put in its place. So we run out of emotional and mental and physical energy. We actually leave trails of disaster. I did. Disaster behind us in relationships. Breaking hearts. Breaking our own. Looking outside for fulfillment. It's not there. Looking outside for somebody else to fill the void that is within ourselves. Please stop. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. There it is. If you're searching for the one person that will change your life, you're in the mirror. Now here's the other one that I'm going to hold up, and then I'm going to get into the questions of today. I am not trying to lead you toward me, not at all. Instead, I hope to lead you towards yourself, because you have all the answers within you. But as a wayshower and as a mentor, I searched anywhere and everywhere outside myself, driven by my own ego, driven to distraction, and running amok in my own life and the lives of others until I had enough crap. So you can listen if you want, or you can carry on doing what you're doing. And that's okay. Because sooner or later, you either pretend that, you're like this, I am not listening, I am not seeing, and I am not feeling. So you close yourself off to your own inner truth, your own inner self. You stop listening, you stop seeing, you stop feeling, and you settle for less. And we covered that last week. Settle for less, settle down, settle for less. Yeah, what a shame. and then run the risk if there's kids actually perpetuating that actually in for the next generation. So cop on, stop copping out, get real, be authentic, look in the mirror and say, I am responsible. I'm going to take myself seriously now. I'm going to sort out my crap. I'm going to empty the rucksack. I'm going to get rid of all the stuff that I've been carrying, and I'm going to bin it. All right? Excuse me for being straight. In fact, I love you. I respect you. I care about you. But I'm going to tell you the truth. All right, questions for today, which are exactly really what I've been getting at. Here's the questions. Ask yourself, exactly what are you looking for in our relationship? Exactly what is it are you looking for? No, I'm not going to answer that. The only person who can answer that is you. Be honest with yourself, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I looking for? All right. Next question, which pertains to the first one. Why are you looking for a relationship? Why? So what is the reason and why is the reason? What are you looking for and why are you looking for it in a relationship? What is it do you feel or think you need from a relationship? What is it you think or feel you need from this said relationship? Or relationships, as the case might be. This is with the inverted commas significant other half mentality, person. Next question. What do you feel you're lacking or think you're lacking that a relationship with another person is going to provide? All right. So that's the direct ones. Here's another one. Could it be that an individual moves from one relationship into the next, carrying the unresolved issues from a previous relationship or marriage into this relationship and other relationships? Could that be? Unresolved emotional, mental stuff. At a conscious level, perhaps, but definitely at a subconscious level. So they move from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship, carrying a rucksack full of unresolved emotional and mental toxins. Could that be? Question relating to that one. If an individual actually does that, would they be running the risk of a thing called karma? That which goes around comes around. Because you know something? If we run from and pretend that the unresolved stuff, the can of worms, doesn't exist, or the rucksack full of crap doesn't exist, guess what? Sooner or later we meet someone with a bigger can of worms and bigger rucksack than our own. What goes around comes around. Now, to prevent oneself that heartache, that drama, that trauma, would it be a good idea to actually look in the mirror and say, you know something? I'm tired carrying this crap. I've got to get rid of my own stuff. Let me ask you a question. How would you feel? How would someone feel if they come along with a rucksack full of crap into your life? Unresolved issues into your life, and brought with that emotional and mental toxins, abuse, narcissistic behavior. How would you feel? All right. Next question. Are you or are we looking for someone to fix us? Fix. You see, it's easier to pass the buck. Somebody else will fix me. Somebody else will provide for me. Somebody else will care for me. Now that's passing the buck. When in actual fact, the only person who can ever save us, the only person who can ever help us, the only person who can ever, ever, ever provide the answers is the person in the mirror. So, I've heard people actually say in the past in my relationship coaching role that they were looking for their rock. And when they found the person that they felt was the rock, they realized that he or she wasn't the rock. Realized when the rock was no longer there that they were devastated and lost. Same thing with the knight in the shining armor. Now, whether that be a female knight or a male knight, shining armor. The shining armor might be covering up a whole lot of stuff. Shining armor, external, looking good, sounding good, great personality, all the rest. Rucksack full of crap. So be careful with that concept of looking for the knight, male or female, in shining armor. Here's another one, which I've come across a lot. For some reason, an individual looking for a father figure or a mother figure. Why is that? Someone to mother them, someone to father them. Probably someone to take care of them. So, loads more questions I could ask along those lines, but please ask yourself the questions. What exactly are you looking for and why? All right. Now, this one came to me in my meditation this morning. What does that term going out with? You know, whenever an individual says, oh, I'm going out with such and such. Going out. Just listen to the words, going out. Well, going out is not going in. So they're going out with someone, and that person that they're going out with is also going out with, they're going out with each other. So they're going out with each other rather than going in. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if two people who are going out with each other would look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know something? What I am looking for and what you are looking for is within ourselves. Wouldn't it be a great idea if we actually helped each other to, instead of going out with each other, whilst we are seeing each other, we could help each other to see ourselves? Would that be good? Absolutely. Well, Eckhart Tolle calls it a spiritual practice. So instead, whilst we're seeing each other, hanging out with each other, dating each other, wouldn't it be great that we look in the mirror and say, you know something? I got to fall in love with myself first. I got to remember who I am first. I got to fall out of fear here and into love here, into falsehood and into truth here. And I'm going to help you do the same thing. Are we agreed on that? Absolutely. How good that would be, huh? Instead of looking for the other person to provide that which is lacking within oneself, or hoping that that person is going to fulfill the need and vice versa, other half mentality, the two glasses, half full, half empty. So help each other. Look in the mirror and say, you know, I'm going to take personal responsibility for my well-being in all areas of my life, and I'm going to help you do the same thing. I tell you what, we're going to have a whole lot of fun helping each other. How good would that be, huh? So that's a clarion call to those of you who are in relationships or who are in marriages. If you're going through challenging times, the challenging times are simply because you're being pushed to stop looking outside. Start looking inside. Because whilst you're putting off that which we resist, I've come across a lot of this in the last couple of weeks, the last few weeks. Stop looking outside, because if you're resisting that, it will persist. It'll be so much more so in your face. And that's what this ascension process is all about. These waves that are sweeping the planet are pushing people and pushing people and pushing people to what? Get real and get a life. Not get someone else's life. Get one's own life. So look in the mirror and say, it's my life. And stop hoping that somebody else is going to sort out our lives. Not going to happen, folks. That's fix-it mentality. That era is over. Now, if we resist it, it'll persist and persist and persist until we get smacked so hard we mightn't recover from it. You know, please take my word for it. Don't get ME. Don't get chronic fatigue. Don't get suicidal thoughts. Don't get 8 years of depression. Don't do that. There's no need for it whatsoever. Here's another one. Don't settle for less in a relationship, pretend that everything's okay. Don't be dishonest with yourself. Don't be dishonest with your partner. And worse still, don't be dishonest with the kids. Get real, get a life, look inside, be honest with oneself, look in the mirror and say, I love you and I care about you enough to actually sort myself out. And if we are in a relationship, we are in a marriage, I'm going to help you do the same thing. And you know, if the other person doesn't want to do it, be true to oneself. How on earth am I going to be true to another until I'm true to myself? Above all, to thine own self be true. Then thou canst not be false to another. So be true to oneself. And you know the amazing thing is, when we're true to ourselves, the other person just might cop on too. Or if they don't, they get out. Good riddance. Move on. You know, let me ask you a question. If we're dealing with our own rucksack full of stuff, and we're in a relationship with someone who has a rucksack or a dysfunctional behavior, do we want to stay with that? Deal with our own stuff. It may inspire them to do it as well. And if they don't, move on. Get real, get authentic, get a life. Your own life. All right. Now, which brings me on to the next question. Is it easier to not do something and then regret it? Is it easier to not do something than undo it? I'm going to ask that again. Is it easier to not do something than realize when you have done it, you wish you hadn't, and then you got to undo it? Number of people I've come across, excuse me, in my life and in my role as a relationship coach, people who say, you know something, I was walking up the aisle and I knew I wasn't doing the right thing. I allowed myself after, 3-4 years of a long-term relationship, I allowed my peers and social pressure and my family and the other person to lull me into this false sense of security that it was seemed to be the done thing. Tell you what, we'll get engaged. And then a year or two later, we actually, tell you what, we'll get married. That was a decision that was taken, not by one's own inner soul and self and heart. Somebody else, the ego. A body-mind relationship, being untrue to the truth of itself. Body-mind individuals being untrue to who they actually are. because they've forgotten who they actually are. So they find themselves in a long-term relationship. Mightn't be that long-term. Get engaged, get married. Hopefully sooner or later, for one or both, they'll wake up and realize being untrue to oneself, untrue to the other person. Much easier to not do something than undo it. The pain and suffering that I have witnessed in other people, the pain and suffering that they were going through when they were in a toxic relationship, when they were in a toxic, dysfunctional, emotional and mentally and indeed physically abusive relationship and marriage. And to extricate themselves from that, to go through all the legal hassle, all that shenanigans, and kids involved as well. You know what they say? I wish I knew then what I know now. Well, I'm going to lay it on the line. When we remember who we actually are, when we get in touch with the I am within, we get in touch with our inner sense of knowingness, we get in touch with our intuition, and we follow our own heart, and we listen to our own gut feeling, and we make choices with our inner selves, and we stop making decisions with the false ID entity or someone else's false ID entity. In other words, we have our own inner guidance. Let me ask you this. When would be a good time to have that, huh? When would be a good time to actually remember who we actually are, remember what we are, and remember who is supposed to be running our lives and listen to that person? When would be a good time to do that? Now would be a very good time if you haven't been. So I'll reiterate that, repeat what I said. When's a good time to be true to oneself? When would be a very, very good time to say to oneself, I'm going to stop doing or being untrue to myself and other people? Because it is much easier to be honest with ourselves now than dishonest with ourselves and with somebody else and extricate it from ourselves from something or indeed not. I'm very aware of people actually who died in disharmonious, very unfortunate circumstances and situations. Yeah, doesn't need to be like that. All right, so what I'm getting at is insight equals foresight. So the inner sense of knowingness is insightfulness. Insightful, full of our own insight. Full of our own insight is insightfulness. Foresight is the sight that comes before we do something. Foresight. So let me ask you, is the head, the false identity running the life? Or somebody else's head or something else's false identity running one's life? Or are we running our own? All right. If anyone would like one-to-one consultations to help with this, I'm here. I would be delighted to help. The moment we take a decision, stroke choice, and then the decision to act, the path to freedom begins. And I salute and honor those who are in the process of doing so. Brave, brave souls, brave individuals who've had enough pain, emotional and mental and physical pain, relationship pain, vocational pain, financial pain, I mean, even the thought of, having to move out of home, sell home, and there's kids and they've got to move from home because mom and dad aren't getting on. Breaking up homes, breaking up lives, when in actual fact, all that required was, excuse me for being straight, was for both individuals to be honest with themselves before they ever got into the mess in the first place. But how did it happen? They were lulled into this false sense of security by a system. They were born like that, but they were programmed. And then they found themselves sometime later on, 20, 30, 40 years later, not living their own lives, not being honest with themselves. But thankfully for those people who are saying, I got to be real, I got to be honest with myself, I'm going to remove myself from a toxic situation, and I'm going to turn the clock back, but I wish to heck I hadn't done what I did. Wouldn't it be great if we knew this information as a teenager before we get involved in relationships? Some of you know, I prayed for this stuff. I asked for this stuff, this information, this inner sense of knowingness at age 14. And as many of you know, if you listen to my videos on a regular basis, I was brought up Christian. I'm not getting into that. But for 21 years, I was searching outside myself in the perfect, relationship, the perfect body, the perfect mind, personal growth and development, blah, 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 rah, 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 rah. All appearances, all good stuff in the external, great, all good in this place. 21 years of searching. Then eventually found it within myself through meditation with the help of one or two mentors who loved me more than I loved myself, until I got in touch with my own self-love and said, thank you guys, guys and girls, much appreciated. Now I'm going to take it from here. Wonderful. And I salute those who are in the process of doing that. All right, a few more minutes here. Now, this is a clarification, and this is bringing me on to what I touched on there earlier on, where two individuals have agreed to be open and honest with themselves and open and honest with each other to effectively become one's own soulmate. Now, I've been asked, Samuel, could you describe that again for us? Could you clarify exactly what you mean? All right. Okay. So what I said was to mate the ego with the I am. In other words, the false identity with the true identity. To mate the mind with the soul. To mate the head with the heart. So when we do that, we become our own mate of the soul. So this becomes the mate of the soul, and the soul becomes a mate of the head and the ego. But for that to happen, the ego must lose its controlling mechanism, and the ego must lose its sense of I am in control. In other words, I'm going to control everything. So the ego's got to lose that sense of control. And the ego eventually has got to surrender and realize that for fulfillment, for peace, for love and joy and fulfillment and contentment and all that beautiful stuff, functional, a life of functional relationships, functional everything, the ego has got to surrender. It's like the two wolves. Good wolf, excuse the term, good wolf, bad wolf, where they become one. They fall in love. In other words, the fearful wolf falls in love out of here, which is fear, into here, and they become one. They become one like that. That's what I mean by soul mate. So we become our own soul mate. Now, when we become our own soul mate, where the ego is at one with the soul, the head's at one with the heart, and the body then goes into a place of ease. Instead of dis-ease, emotional and mental and physical toxicity and dis-ease, we get into this place of ease. and pleasure. Our vibrational frequency then raises from being low frequency, which is fear, to high frequency, which is love, which is light. And all the chakras then, instead of being blocked by toxicity, emotional and mental toxins, like as we've shown you before, we'll show you again. Where is it? There it is, over there. So we move from the me. You see the me? This is the me here. We move from the me side, and the me side, the ego side, all these chakras are blocked by toxic fears. So we shift over then to the love side, and all the chakras start operating perfectly. So what I'm getting at is that when we have all the chakras operating perfectly, we effectively, and I say effectively, have become our own soul mate. So we have become our own soul mate, which effectively means no longer in fear, we are in love. Now, I hope that clarifies that point. Okay, so when we are then in love within ourselves and our vibrational frequency is high, what are we going to attract then? Because the law of attraction, the laws of vibration, natural laws always hold true. They're the universal laws. The laws of attraction and the law of vibration simply states that that which I am, I attract. So when I am vibrating and you are vibrating at a high frequency, we attract other high frequency individuals. How does that happen? Become our own soulmate first. So those of you who are looking for your soulmate, look in the mirror, fall in love with yourself, look in your own soul, fall in love with your own soul. And how do you do that? You've got to find out who that person is first. And how do you do that? Use of a mentor and meditation is a major step forward. The relax I am within is a very start. Find yourself a mentor, get into meditation, and start clearing out the crap. This falling in love process is literally falling in love, being an inside job. There, that's it. Where the internal merges with the external and vice versa. Where we become a spiritual being having a human experience. No more looking outside in the human aspect for somebody else to fill the inner void. That is dysfunctional individual looking to another, vibrating at a low frequency, vibrating at this level and this level, and they're going to attract the same thing. Birds of a feather flock together. What have we got? We've got the other half mentality, emotional and mental unresolved stuff at a conscious and a subconscious level, like attracts like, two half full or two half empty glasses. Maybe one half full and the other half empty. Still 50% in each glass. All right. I know I'm being straight here tonight. Yes, I know. Okay. So that's the soulmate. And how do we do it? Yeah, that's how we did it. Okay. Now, this is an interesting one. A couple of more minutes here. Yeah, it'll take 10 more minutes if you don't mind. Why is it when we meet someone new, it feels like we knew them before? Fantastic. Deja vu. That is an indication when an individual does that or meets someone new and they feel they know them. What that person actually is someone that they absolutely have known in a previous life. And that individual could be male or female. But that is also an indication that that individual who is meeting this other person, or meeting this other person for the first time, the individual themselves is on the journey home. And that's why they connect with this other person, because this other person actually could become, yes, soulmate, but this other person could become a soul sister or soul brother. Because, relationships just isn't about this intimate other person. The other half, perish the thought. Or the soulmate being male or female, or male or female, depending on your sexual orientation, which quite frankly doesn't matter. But it could be, I have this amazing connection with soul brothers, where we know the first time. I remember my dear friend Francie, the first time we met 20 years ago, we knew each other. Now, what was our relationship in the past? I don't know. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter what it was in the past. What it means today, now, is that we're as close as brothers. A bit like, King David was with, what was his name in it? Jonathan, in the Old Testament, those of you familiar with the Judeo-Christian Bible, where it actually says, it's just coming to mind actually, where David loved Jonathan like he loved his own soul. Absolutely, we're soul brothers. So that's what Francie and I have, and Patty and I have, and Anthony and I have. And those of you who are soul sisters, those of you who are listening to this, like Liliana, soul sister. Soulmates, absolutely soulmates. Kate, soulmate. You know who you are. I don't have to mention your names. But this is what happens when we have this interaction with someone that is on a soul level. That's what it is. We we have had lives together in some shape or form in past lives. That's why we recognize each other. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling. Now, when that is going on, when that is happening, a number of people have said to me of late, and I covered it before in a previous video, but a number of people have said to me, why is it that I'm having a much, much greater connection with people that are not my biological family at all than I'm having with my biological family? Well, here's why. That's biological family. I mean it with respect. Because biological family are, if they're not in this soul level, and whenever we start moving and we start integrating, we are going to move away from this, whether they be brothers, sisters, mother, father or not, partners, husbands, wives, children, it doesn't matter. When we start shifting, we shift. When we start moving, we move. And we've got this greater sense of fellow feeling, connection with people on a soul level, soul and a heart level. Yeah, why is that? Because they're at the love frequency. So what am I really saying? We're separating. In a nutshell, this is what's going on. People, when we start waking up to the truth of who we actually are, which is a spiritual being, love, our frequency shifts from low frequency to high frequency. So we only want to have people of higher frequency around us, period. And I know a number of people actually are finding it increasingly difficult to be around low frequency situations and people. Absolutely, and so we should. Come out from among them, be separate. Start hanging out with people on the same frequency. If we spend a lot of time actually if we're on the journey home to the higher frequency and journey home to love, and we're hanging out with people who are in fear, well, what's it going to do to ourselves? Have we been true to ourselves? No. The greatest gift that you or I can give to anybody else is the proof that our own lives are working. So stay focused, stay on the journey, stay on the path, be away sure, stay on the path. And there's a distinct possibility, not a distinct possibility, it happens, that you will inspire other people to do the same thing, including family, friends, and partners. If and when, I might add, in their time. Don't do as I used to do. Get out of my boat and get into the other person's boat to actually sort them out. That's called control, interference. No. Stay on one's own canoe. Go with the flow of the universe. Be honest and truthful with ourselves. Stay focused on ourselves, and we may inspire, literally, the spirit of ourselves will inspire the other person when, if I say, and when they choose to, not when we want them to. Our focus, our responsibility is to be responsible to ourselves. And in that way, when we're being honest with ourselves, we're being honest with other people. If and when they choose to take the journey home themselves, that's their prerogative. Nothing to do with us. We can inspire them, but we're not going to lasso them and pull them along. I tried it. Please. Wrecks one's own head and creates all kinds of dysfunction and disharmony. As much as we love others, as much as we love them, as much as we care about them, our love and our care for them means very little until they love and care for themselves. That's it. When they love and care for themselves, then they move. Not when we think they should. All right. Okay. Now, last question. On Sunday, I happened to mention, I touched on this earlier on, in fact, at the start. I happened to mention about this thing called the end of the world. All right, very quickly. You know, when you mention that, people run. Look, it's a cycle. The end of something is the beginning of something new. And excuse me for being graphic. The end of the chicken and the egg is the beginning of new life for the chicken outside the egg. The end of the embryo, which becomes the baby in the womb, the end of that was the beginning of new life. That's what's going on. The end of the old is like the chicken inside the egg. The beginning of the new is the chicken outside the egg. Now, what am I saying? The end of the world is the end of everything that pertains to the external false identity of a body, mind, non-reality. So in other words, what the world actually is, or the consciousness of the world, is the collective consciousness of 7 billion individuals who are took up with the body and the mind only. So that's what the end of the world is. The end of the world is the end of what I look like, what I think like. That's it. So the end of the world is what, for those of us who have gone through the breakdown process, we had to go through the breakdown of this stuff here so that we could realize that the truth of who we actually are is not this at all. So we had our own personal breakdowns. So what is the end of the world? The end of the world is the breakdown of the world, the breakdown of the mindset of the world. So what that also means then is the breakdown of the mindset of relationships. So relationships are shifting from external body-mind relationships to internal soul-heart connections, where the body and the mind then is an expression of the soul and the heart. In other words, a spiritual being having a human experience. So what does that mean for relationships? Well, what that means for relationships, excuse me, I'll be direct and I'll say it, relationships are over. The word relationship now pertains to oneself, the left and the right brain, the male and the female within oneself, falling in love, falling out of fear, out of the false identity, into the inner self, the I am that is within. Relax, I am within. Be still and know who we truly are. That's the end of the world. The beginning of the new era is what we're focusing on. But there will never be a new beginning until there's the end of the old. So that which is happening for individuals, where we had our own worlds turned upside down, quite frankly, it was turned upside down. We allowed it to be by default or by design. Either we were programmed or indoctrinated into having the truth of who we actually are being turned into a lie. And sooner or later we had the breakdown where this stuff here got removed. So that's what's going on for individuals. That's what's going on for relationships. In other words, relationships are ending and connections are starting. So that which is going on for us as individuals is now starting to and accelerating rapidly for the collective, which is the end of the old world and the beginning of the new. And what is the new? Where there will only be, and I'm going to be real straight here and I'm going to talk more about it on Sunday. The only people that are going to be on this planet are those who have come home to the truth, who realize that they're spiritual beings here on planet Earth having a human experience. Because the vast majority of humans on this planet, and I say this is not a judgment, it's an observation. The vast majority of humans are not spiritual beings. They have forgotten, but they are within themselves. But they have forgotten that they're spiritual beings. They're human doings and they're human havings. And their entire lives are caught up with pursuing stuff in the external. Gratification stuck in the first and second chakra in the left brain. Short-term gratification and false sense of security. Period. It's over. Over. Capital O-V-E-R. And the sooner we realize it, the better for ourselves and each other. All right. I've been really straight here this evening. I make no apologies for it, but it's done with love. It's done with respect. It's done with a kind of a wake up. All right. But it's done with love. You know, you've often heard the term tough love. Well, that's it. You know what's tougher? What's tougher actually is being so lost. We had to go through painful times to find ourselves. That's what's tougher. So a friend in need, I hope you understand that this is what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to help people help themselves so they don't need to go through the crap that I had to go through, or the crap that you are going through, the crap that other people are going through. You know, please do ourselves a favor. Look ourselves in the mirror. Look ourselves in the mirror and fall in love with ourselves. Stop searching outside ourselves for that one person to change our lives. All the answers, all the solutions are within ourselves. All right. I love you. I respect you. I honor you. Because deep within your soul, deep within your heart, you know all this stuff. I'm just doing my best to remind you, to help you come home. I'm not trying to lead you towards me at all. I'm trying to lead you towards yourself. I'll just finish what it says in the bottom. I'm not trying to lead you towards me. I'm trying to lead you, instead, I hope to lead you towards yourself. I hope to touch your life in such a way that as I reach out to you and touch your soul, your heart illuminates the world around you with the light of your being. And when you change, when I change, and you change from external non-reality, the false ID entity, to the truth of who we actually are, then comes a new era. A new era, a spiritual being on planet Earth having a human experience. Where the only thing that's going to be on this planet, and I mean it, the only thing that's going to be on this planet are spiritual beings having a human experience. I trust you're one of them. I honor you, I nurture you to the best of my ability. I love you, I care about you implicitly. Thank you. Namaste. Heart hugs.